Well, happy Monday and welcome to Mondays with Michael live here in the Facebook room for Training Solutions. Today I'm back in my home office downstairs. For those of you that follow me, last week I was upstairs in the kitchen using my iPad Pro and had this whole issue going on where the mic was, where the mic and where the camera was on the iPad. And I'm not sure how successful I was. So we're going to have to try that again and see if I can sync my eyes on the camera next time. So bear with me as I learn how to use the iPad Pro in these live sessions. So thanks for joining me today. Today's session is on leadership, a new approach to leadership. But before we get to the session, I do want to thank some of our clients who came out to the executive briefing we had last week at the Westin and Tyson's Corner. We had a number of our clients come out for the executive briefing on the PXT Select product. We had our friends from Wiley come out. I posted some video last week. You may have seen some of the video we posted last week. But I want to thank those who came out and learned about the new assessment tool, the new pre-employment process. We have several of our clients really interested in the tool, and I think some of them are actually going to start using it. For those of you who are not able to attend, I have an upcoming webinar this month, actually. I'm doing an executive briefing on the same product, basically the same process, but a little more detail, on the 21st of this month at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. After the session today, I'll put a link in the message chat here down the bottom in the comment section about registering for that program. I know that a lot of you that wanted to come to the executive briefing were busy that day, couldn't come. So we're going to do one. I'll do one here through the ReadyTalk software that we have here in the office. So rest assured, you'll learn more about that product. But today's session is on another approach to leadership. That's how we tout this program. Many of you know we're everything DISC providers, and we use DISC and everything DISC and the DISC family of products in a lot of our training programs. And a lot of our leadership development programs start with the everything DISC workplace, just to really understand yourself and others. And for those of you in the training HR space, you know a lot about DISC. It measures 4 styles of behavior in the workplace. It measures dominance, influence, steadiness, conscientiousness. It goes a little deeper into behaviors. And when I do this, why does somebody do that? Really, we use it in team building, but for leaders, we use it just so they get a good sense of self-awareness. What are my strengths based on my DISC style? What are a bit of my shortcomings? What do I need to do to better interact with those around me and those that report to me? We use DISC in our coaching program, along with some other tools, but anytime we coach somebody, I coach somebody, I always use one of the DISC assessments because it's always good to have a conversation about behaviors and building better working relationships within the team and within the organization. But today we're going to talk about the Everything DISC Work of Leaders Assessment and Program. So about 5 or 6 years ago, Wiley went on this leadership journey to really do a deep dive analysis and really look at the research around leadership. If you Google leadership development or leadership, you'll see that you'll get about 1 billion links. So there was a lot of data out there, but they really wanted to spend a considerable amount of time learning about what really makes an effective leader. What are those behaviors? What are those skills needed to make a leader really successful in organizations? And in our case, when we describe leadership, we describe leadership in this program as a one-to-many situation. Not the one-on-one. We do a lot of DISC programs that work on the one-on-one, but this is really leading the group, whether it's a small group, large group, or leading an organization. So Wiley went on this journey. It took them about 3.5, 4 years, and put this up here for you to see. This is the book they wrote. It's called The Work of Leaders, as you can see from the cover. Several of the researchers and some of the trainers and leaders over at Wiley went through and did their research. They researched over 400 companies, many of the best authors. They interviewed individuals, they interviewed leaders, and they came up with this model that really seems to be resonating with our clients. A pretty short read. You can get it on Amazon, but I'll tell you what, if any of you are watching this today and you message me after the program through Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever else you see this, I'll send you a copy of this for free to take a look at. So if you want a copy of that, just message me and I'll get one in the mail to you. But the Work of Leaders kind of expands upon the DISC model. And it talks about a model, a 3-step model around leadership. The 3 steps are crafting a vision, building alignment, and championing execution. So an effective leader needs to have vision. Where are you taking the team? Where are you taking the organization? Where are you going? You need to really craft a vision, forward-looking vision. And then you need to build alignment. Once you've crafted that vision, You have to put all your ducks in a row. And how do you get all those ducks in a row? Making sure everyone's on the same page, getting feedback and whatnot. And finance is talking to marketing, is talking to HR, is talking to operations. How do you get all those ducks in a row? And then the last is championing execution, is getting it done. How do you make sure that the vision gets done, it gets completed, it's out there being worked on day in and day out, and you're monitoring progress and whatnot. And we work with a lot of leadership teams on this model. And no surprise, there are a lot of leaders that want to go from crafting a vision directly to execution, and they want to forget about the alignment part. And as we see in the research, and when I get feedback from Wiley on how the scores are coming in on this assessment, they tell me that the alignment part of the assessment tends to get the lowest scores from leaders. That crafting a vision and execution tend to get higher scores. We see that when we teach this program, we see that play out in some of our classroom. But I want to go briefly through the model with you, some of the behaviors we measure, some of the things we're looking at, and what we see in our programs when we deliver this program. So under crafting a vision, so there are 3 steps. Under each step, there's what we call 3 drivers. So under crafting a vision, we have exploration, boldness, and testing assumptions. So what does that mean? So you have to kind of, when you're exploring a new vision, you have to remain open. And remaining open is one of the behaviors we measure under exploration. And you have to prioritize the big picture. So you have to be able to explore, kind of open up your mind, open up the flip chart, if you will. What can this vision really look like? And prioritizing the big picture. You're going to get to the details later, but in this part of the process, you really want to look at the big picture. So after exploration is boldness. So you got to be bold. So you have to be adventurous. You have to kind of think out of your comfort zone. You know, what can it be? What are the things we haven't really tried? And then you have to speak out. You have to be able to present this vision and speak about this vision, and speak boldly and speak confidently about this vision. So it's something else you have to do in this process. And then the third step in crafting a vision is testing assumptions. So a lot of leaders, we see the scores come in, have a tough time testing assumption, because a lot of leaders like, hey, I've got this. I know where I'm going. I got the vision. I'm bold. Let's do this. But you have to kind of test assumptions. You know, what if your assumptions are wrong? And you do that by seeking counsel. So we always encourage leaders to have some type of mentor or some type of support system or feedback system, either inside the organization or outside the organization. A lot of the clients we work with are part of professional networking groups or professional industry groups. So where can you seek counsel about this vision you have? Where can you get feedback on whether this is really going to work or not, or people have tried this in the past? And then explore the implications. What are the implications when you want to put this vision forward? Are there any implications? So under crafting a vision, we measure 3 drivers: exploration, boldness, and testing assumptions. And then we measure those 6 behaviors of leaders. And as we go through this, we find that leaders, of the 18 behaviors, leaders have about half of them they're really strong in. The other half, they may be okay in some, but there are going to be some of those behaviors that they tend to be weak in. They really need to work on. And that's what we do in the training program. And we do that when we coach them. So after we craft the vision, we're building alignment. So now we have our vision. Now we're going to get all the ducks in a row. So when we're trying to get the ducks in a row, we have 3 drivers: clarity, dialogue, and inspiration. So on the clarity, and it's pretty standard stuff here, right? Explain the rationale. You have to explain the rationale of the vision. Why are we doing this? So that people that work around you understand what they're getting into. Okay, not only do you need to build alignment around the message, but people need to feel part of this vision. They need to be emotionally connected to it. So explain the rationale and structured messaging so that when someone is engaging you with this vision, you're clear about what it is you're trying to accomplish. The second one is dialogue. So exchanging perspectives, being able to give and receive feedback to those that report to you and those other team leaders if need be, and being receptive to changes along the way, because you may have this great vision, but you may get that feedback from somebody on the team and you're like, you know, we may want to tweak this a little bit. So how receptive are you to that feedback and making tweaks to your vision if you need be? And then the third in building alignment is inspiration. And you need to inspire your team. Again, they need this emotional attachment to what you're trying to do. So being expressive and being encouraging. And we work with a lot of leaders that this is a struggle for them. I mean, they're pretty much just kind of go with the flow, things get done, here's the direction. But we want them to be expressive. We want them to be encouraging. We want them to encourage those folks working around them to take it to the next level. And you don't have to jump up on the table and scream at the moon, but you got to be emotional. You got to be passionate about your vision and make sure your people feel passionate around that vision. So crafting a vision, building alignment. So now we're going to champion execution, the third step. So the championing execution, the three drivers there are momentum, structure, and feedback. So under momentum, you got to keep things moving forward. You got to be driven a little bit. And again, we work with a lot of leaders that tend to be laid back. They're not really comfortable pushing the team, but you have to push the team a little bit. You have to be driven, and you need to initiate action as a leader. Sometimes something's going on, you have to make a tweak, you need to initiate that action. So make sure you have initiating action as a priority. The second one is structure. So having the plan, providing feedback on that plan, and doing an analysis of that plan as you move this vision forward. How good are you at making tweaks, at looking at the results, making tweaks based on those results? It's very, very important that you monitor progress of your vision and make those tweaks, because we don't have all the answers all the time. Sometimes we find out those answers as we start implementing the vision. And then the last is feedback. Addressing problems as they come up, because nothing is perfect and you're going to have to address problems as they come up. And then offering praise. And again, we look at the results in the classroom, a lot of times our leaders are low in giving praise, and I'm not sure why. It's very, very important that you give positive feedback to those employees, especially when they do the job well. We always tend to give feedback when somebody needs a little correction, and that's okay too. But if employees do the job really, really well in the team and moving forward with the vision, you really, really need to give them feedback. So those are the 18 behaviors. So the way the assessment process works is participants take the DISC part of their assessment, and then they take the work of leaders part of their assessment, and then they come to the class. The class tends to be a full day. It's a very interactive workshop. So we work on the DISC part in the morning. We work on the leadership part in the afternoon. There are video vignettes, activities, case studies, and then we do a group report to talk about where the team is as far as strengths and weaknesses in all of these drivers and all of these behaviors, and we tend to see some themes. Leaders tend to hire folks like themselves. So whatever they're strong in, their team members seem to be strong in. Wherever they're weak in, their team members seem to be weak in. So we really encourage leaders to kind of round out the field a little bit and bring some folks on the team with a different DISC style, with a different work of leader style to kind of round out the team. But as an individual leader, since these 18 behaviors are behaviors, you can change your behavior in these 18 areas. Now, will you do all 18 of them? Great. Maybe not. You'll probably do half of them great, as we talked about earlier, but the other half, you can do better. We can all do better. These are things that tend to need to be practiced. So when we're coaching somebody using the work of leaders assessment, we'll put together an individual action plan, same action plan that happens in the classroom. We want them to try some of these new behaviors so that team members feel either more connected to the vision or positive feedback or making those corrections along the way. So whatever those weaknesses are, based on the results of the assessment, we want to really work with those leaders moving forward. So, crafting a vision, building alignment, championing execution, the 3 steps of work of leaders. It's a very in-depth program. We have a lot of clients who are using it, implementing it as they move forward. As I mentioned earlier, if you message me, I will get you a copy of the book. And if you really want to take an assessment, I can send you a free sample of the assessment for you to take. See, we're coming up to close to 14 minutes on the clock there, and I want to keep these under 15 minutes. Just a couple commercials for you. As I mentioned earlier, we have a webinar on the 21st, the PXT Select. Hopefully you'll join us. We'll put a link in the message in the comments here. Next Monday at 1 o'clock, we will do a deeper dive of just the DISC assessment. So today was work of leaders, but next week we're going to do a deeper dive of the Everything DISC. It's probably our most popular tool. It's the one I use most when I'm doing training for clients. It's the one I use most when I go out on the road with clients. So that's be the one we'll talk about next week. I am going on the road over the next 3.5 weeks. I'll be going to Oklahoma City this week, see a really good client. Next week I'm doing some training, a DISC session in Florida. And in a couple of weeks I'm doing 3 DISC sessions in Chicago at the end of November. So we're doing a lot of DISC this month, so we want to talk more about that next week at our session next Monday morning. Actually, one Monday afternoon, 1 o'clock. Mondays with Michael live here in the room. Thanks for joining me today, and keep sending your questions my way. I really appreciate that. And we'll see you next Monday. Make it a great Monday. Make it a great week. Take care.